Hello and welcome to another edition of It's About Money. I'm Nanette Nocon and thank you for joining us. Today we're going to talk about a fun way to spend your discretionary money on entertainment at the Little Theater. We're delighted to have our guest today, the Executive Director of the Little Theater, Bob Russell.
Hi, Nanette.
And the Chairman of the Board of the Little Film Society, Tom Peretti.
Hi, Nanette.
Thank you for being here. I really appreciate it.
My pleasure.
So a lot of people have lived in Rochester, grew up in Rochester, but have not been to the Little. All three of us go to the Little all the time. You're there all the time. So tell us about the Little. Why should people go to the Little? Where is it located? And all that.
Well, I think the biggest thing is the Little's a landmark in Rochester. The original building was constructed and began showing films in 1929. And a lot of the same elements of the Art Deco from when the building was created are still there. And there's 5 theaters now, which a lot of people are surprised that haven't been there in a while. And it's about the experience of going. It's different than going to see a film at a multiplex cinema. It has a very comfortable home kind of feeling to it. I think the type of people that go is what makes it part of the experience. You're going and enjoying films and discussions with other people that have similar interests. And you know, we also have music and cafe, and there's sort of a broad range of different things beyond just going to see a film and then going home. A lot of people like to come and have dinner beforehand, and we have art displays with local artists, or sitting around afterward having, you know, coffee and a delicious piece of cake, I might add, that we have, just discussing the film. And a lot of times it's with people that are strangers to them, that they've only met because they're sitting there with one common interest, and that's about the film that they just saw. So it's really about the people and the experience that makes it a little different. We're right downtown at the foot of the East End, actually one of the anchors of the East End at 240 East Avenue. And it's just a beautiful place to go and to be able to experience something completely different and see a film in a different way.
So there's movies, there's food, there's entertainment, and there's art and conversation.
All rolled into one.
So Tom, what got you interested in being part of the Little? You're so dedicated.
My wife and I were both fans of the Little long before I became involved in it formally. Every Friday night we would go to see movies, and we still do that every Friday night. Now we have dinner and movies, and we have kind of an Algonquin table of people that we congregate with. I'm bringing about 20 people tonight.
Oh, cool.
So, yeah, and for a lot of them, it's their first time there. And you know, like as Bob said, you know, it's kind of an unknown hidden gem and jewel for many folks, and many suburban folks especially. I teach at Monroe Community College, and a lot of times I'll force my students to go to the George Eastman House and the Little Theater and to Jiva, and for many of them, they've never been downtown, believe it or not. So to get down to urban Rochester, you know, for some of them it's a little bit frightening at first in the thought, but once they're there, they realize, oh no, not only is it comfortable, it's really kind of cool, and the Little is that kind of place. In 1998, the Little started going through some financial difficulties. Bill Coppard, the genius who thought this place up, came to us, some community members, and said, we have to do something to save this place because, you know, it's just doesn't pay the bills. And about 20 of us got together and put the place back together again, and we created a not-for-profit. And you're a board member, and I'm a board member, and Bob is the executive director, and it's a place that's now flourishing. But it really needs membership to stay alive. We don't pay our bills with our operations, so members keep us alive.
Good. Well, tell us about that. I mean, there's concessions and there's all these other ticket sales. How much of the theater's revenue come from sales of tickets and concessions, Bob?
Well, ticket sales is fairly a small portion, and the biggest reason is that there's a certain percentage for each film that has to go back to the distributor. So we pay to rent the film. As an example, right now we're running the wildly popular Little Miss Sunshine. And opening week last week, we had the exclusive of Rochester, and 70% of our ticket sales are going right back to Fox Searchlight. So on average, you're looking anywhere from 40 to 50% of that $7 ticket going back to the distributor and out of your hands. That remainder doesn't cover the cost to run the operations. Concessions account for about 25% of our revenue. We do have amongst the lowest price concessions. People tell us that, but that's a part of the charm of going to the Little, is that not only can you get cheap pop and popcorn, but we've got the pastries and the cookies and just a different selection for people.
We even have the best popcorn in town, and also the Little candy bar.
Yeah.
which has a replica of the marquee done by Stever's Candy. I think they actually designed it and created a candy bar for us. And Bob is right. It does not cover the cost of the operation, so we need something else. And as president of the board, I think the target for me long term is probably about 5,000 members. We're getting close to 2,000 members, so we still have quite a ways to go. A lot of growth yet.
So how does the Little make up the difference, the shortfall in revenue? Because you have to run the theater, there are expenses.
Yeah. A lot of different ways, yeah. Okay. It's the generosity of people like you and me who contribute way over and above our membership, and give our time as well. Also grants. We do get some grants. That's really started to happen of late. And I'll let Bob speak to some of the some of the special uses, like the premiere nights. You want to talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, I think one of the things is that because the Little is, even though it's been around for so long, in the terms of being a nonprofit, we're an infant. We're a baby still. And there's certain things that we just haven't prepared ourselves to be able to do yet, and that's what we're starting to focus on. A lot of it is working on the grants and the foundations and government support. And it's really telling people our story, telling the story of the Little, what the Little contributes back to the community. Because as a nonprofit, we have to be more than just a place that shows films. We have to be a gathering place that's open and accessible to people of all different ages and income levels. And I feel very strongly about what we're giving back on an educational and community outreach portion of our programming. And those are the things that we're really focusing on now, because as we're increasing that and we're showing that we are having more people take advantage of what we have coming in, that makes us more attractive not only to the foundations and to the government for support, but also to corporations and corporate sponsors. There's a lot of programs that we currently have that we don't have corporate sponsors for, just because we have a very small staff and we're just kind of redesigning the structure of the organization over the last couple of months. But I think that's one area, is that we have this beautiful set of building and 5 theaters and a cafe that during the day, for instance, go dark. We're really reaching out with our special events and being able to use our facilities so organizations and companies can book and have sales meetings or have special presentations at the theater. It allows us to bring more people into the theater, but also to expose the Little to more people that haven't been there before. And I think we have to just keep following some different paths of things that we currently have available to be able to get those sponsorships, like film festivals. This year we did our first ever Little Foreign Film Festival. We had over 1,800 people come out for films over the course of a week. Now we've built a track record that is very attractive to sponsors that are interested in reaching those people. That money will help us to then offset our expenses to actually put on these different events and to operate for them.
Because you have those, the Little doesn't have a lot of trailers that, there's not a 20-minute trailer showing before the movie begins. Basically, it's only a few minutes, and you have some advertising that goes on. It's mostly slides of...
Yeah, we have our screen advertising, which has been tremendous. We took it in-house back about 7 months ago. And if you look at the type of sponsors that we have everything from other nonprofit organizations to retailers, restaurants, smaller companies that, again, are both invested in the Little personally, because this is where people love to come and spend their free time, but also to give support back to the theater. And I think, it shows. We have a very, very loyal customer base and patrons and members. And if they're loyal to the Little, they're also loyal to where they go have dinner. And they're loyal to where they go look for that special birthday gift that they want to purchase for someone. So those are that's part of the reason we're able to get the sponsors involved, and again, just looking to cover our costs to do the different programs so that we're not doing something because we can't afford to do it. If we want to be able to do it, we're going to go out and we're going to find a way to make it happen.
That's great. That's impressive. Now, one of the things you mentioned, Tom, every Friday you and Dan and a group of friends come and see a movie. Now, every Friday, there's must be movies that you might not like or whatever, but what made you choose every Friday?
Well, once our kids were grown up and left the house, we became empty nesters. We really needed a place to go, and I just don't want to sit at home and watch videos, because videos are not films. They're different. It's television, and television's okay, and it serves a purpose. But we're really film fans, and so we found a place at the Little where we could enjoy movies, and then now we enjoy dinner and movies and a lot of friendship. And really the friends I have are, people I've met through the Little. They're board members and, just folks who come to the Little on a real regular basis. So
you just trust that you'll find a movie on a Friday?
well, one of the great things about the Little is, I've done a lot of inline canvassing of, people waiting in line to buy tickets, and you ask them what they came to see, and frequently, even in line, they don't know what it is they came to see. They trust, they trust the judgment of the Little that much, and I think that's spectacular. It's just that's the power of the brand, as we called it in the business. The brand of the Little is intensely powerful, and I give a lot of credit to Bill Coppard for doing that. He created a place where people trusted his judgment in movies, and I hope we can continue to cash in on that. That's why we hired somebody like Bob to do that.
And you don't find that with other theaters.
Sure.
Prior to coming to the Little as the director, I've been going for 20 years, as a patron, and I've been a member. And it's the only place that I would take that risk, that if I just felt like going out and seeing a movie on a Monday night, I would show up just to see what was playing next. And I saw some of my favorite films that I might not have ever thought to go see by just doing that. And a lot of our members, we did a survey a few months back through our e-newsletter group, and we found out that about 40% of the people say that sometimes when they come, they have no idea what they're going to see. Yeah. They're just going to see what's there and take the chance. And I think that's what draws the people together, especially after you see a film that you just walked into, and then you're having a discussion with a group of people. I think it's happened to all of us. We're either, in the cafe or in the lobby, or for me, it was
even
most
in the
recently
restroom.
Outside the restrooms,
or in the restroom,
in the basement of Little One, after seeing the French film Cachet, where it started with somebody saying, "Can somebody tell me what just happened? Because I think I missed something." And next thing you know, for a half hour, there were 8 of us standing around, all total strangers, having this discussion. And I said, that doesn't happen at the other places.
Yes, right.
So I think that's part of the charm of the Little. And those are the people that you get. They want to see more than just the film. They want to have the experience of discussing it and talking about it.
And I think that's one of the real keys. We hit on this theme of share the experience. The Little is an experience. I go to Tinseltown, or I go to Regal, or any one of those places, and the experience is kind of like going to McDonald's or Walmart. And that's not a knock. It's just the way it is. The Little's a really unique little gem. And I use the Little again as not a pun either. Also, my wife and I travel all over the world. There is no place anywhere in the world like the Little. I mean, we're it. You can go to New York City, and there's nothing like this. You can go to Los Angeles. There's just nothing like it. So we really have something that makes Rochester really different. And I meet people all the time who say they've left Rochester and say the thing I miss more than anything else is the Little. And I'm like, it makes me feel good, and also tells them, I usually tell them, come back. It's worth living in Rochester for that. And that's one of the reasons why I was so interested in keeping the place alive, because I really think it does that for us.
Sure. Actually, you're absolutely right there. One example is we have a friend who got transferred to D.C. but back here for his company once a week. And what he does in one of those nights is goes to Little. He doesn't know what's playing. He just he says, I miss this so much. I'm in D.C., but there's no art film house that's in D.C. like the one here in Rochester.
I love when I bring people who've never been to the Little, bring them there for the first time, and at the end of the night, they say, wow, I had no idea you could experience this in Rochester. And I say, well, come back again and become a member, because you want to keep this alive, and frequently that does happen. Word of mouth is our biggest ally, there's no doubt about it. And Bob can talk about that forever, I know. Sure. The word of mouth is, what we call buzz, is the single most important thing in selling a product like the Little.
And it's right, in terms of spending your discretionary money for the ticket price, you get a lot more than just going in and seeing the movie and coming out. You actually create friendships, share friendships, and also it stretches your mind, not only your money, but your mind. I mean, most of the movies, in fact, all of the movies I see at the Little, I can't anticipate what's going to happen. Other movies, like, I know what's going to happen, but what the heck, I'll sit through it.
Right. So. Programming is a very big part of what we really focus on, every week. And it's, not saying, what's going to be the big blockbuster, because we're not the sort of film house that's going to show Pirates of the Caribbean. But it's finding that mix amongst those 5 screens each week that's going to satisfy a lot of different tastes. Whether it's the people who love the documentaries, the foreign films. We have a reputation for the type of films that have come to Rochester strictly because of the Little. And a lot of that goes back to the vision that was created by Bill Coppard when he started and bought the Little and started the growth phase with it. And I think that's something we stay very true to, as that mission of the sort of films. We know that some of the films that we bring in aren't going to draw thousands of people. But for that group of people that are interested in that topic or in that sort of film genre, that we're going to satisfy them, and they won't get that anywhere else. So a lot of the films that you see at the Little, we have exclusively, because those are the type of distributors that we're working with. And this week's a great example. Starting today on Friday, we have 2 screens with Little Miss Sunshine, which we had as an exclusive, which is, fabulous, drawing lots of broad range of customer base. But then we have 3 exclusive films also for the week. So I think that's something we take a lot of pride in, is, we know that we're not bringing in, Superman and Pirates of the Caribbean, but that's okay, because that's not what people expect from us.
That's great. Take a quick break. This is Nanette Nocken, and it's about money. I'm here today talking about how to spend your money in a fun way at the Little Theater. Thanks for joining us, and stay tuned for the next 15 minutes here.
Rochester's own Little Theater provides the community with an alternative venue of film festivals, discussions, and American independent and foreign films. Go beyond the big screen with friends and family and meet new people along the way. For more information on admissions, events, and membership, contact The Little at 232-3906 or visit www.little-theater.com. It's not about what you see, but how you experience it. At the Little Theater, 240 East Avenue, just off exit 13 of the Rochester City Inner Loop.
Get a job.
Look! It's a giraffe!
I don't see it.
The less art kids get, the more it shows. Are yours getting enough? Art. Ask for more. AmericansForTheArts.org.
And we're back. I'm Nanette Nocken. Thanks for joining us. Our guests today are Bob Russell, the Executive Director of the Little Theater. Thank you for being here. And we also have Tom Peretti, who is the President of the Little Film Society. So we're here to talk to you about how to spend your discretionary money at a fun place like the Little. So we're talking about the Film Society. Tell us about that. If I were a student and I want to see some movies at the Little, how can I stretch my money? What should I do and all that? And if I'm a senior?
Yeah, that's a great question. One of the easiest ways to find out very quickly is to visit our website, and it explains levels of membership and how, even ticket prices and what you can get as an associate member, a student member, whatever level you come in at. The Film Society itself was created. It's the governing board of the Little Theater. I'm president of the board. You're a board member, and there's about 15 of us at this point. We have room for about 21, so we're going to be putting on some new people, I think. And what we do is we're ultimately responsible for keeping the Little alive. And that's a fiscal and fiduciary responsibility more than anything else. Meaning, we really have to beat the bushes to raise money and to keep the place alive, because it doesn't pay its bills. As it currently exists on operations alone, it needs other outside help. So when a student becomes a member, they're getting a great chance to see movies for the entire year at $5 anytime they go, admission. But they're also supporting the Little Theater, and that's a huge step in the right direction.
Mm-hmm. And then the seniors can also save a little bit of money.
Seniors can get in $350 at any time,
wow.
No matter what their membership level is, and I think that's the deal of the century. And I'm 5 years away from that, so or actually 4.5 years away from that. I can't wait.
That's great.
And actually, with the student membership, before the $5 takes effect, for $35 is the student membership, they get 12 punches on their membership card. So if you divide that out by the $35, it comes out to $2.90 per film for 12 films that they can see. And then it's $5 after that. So where else can you go for $2.90? You can't even go to McDonald's anymore for $2.90 and walk away.
Sure.
And they can get a full film. So
sure. So there's money left for popcorn, which is the best popcorn, like you said.
It really is absolutely the best popcorn in town. We've been going to the Little fairly regularly, probably since 1987. And one of the things Bill Coppard really prided himself on was he said he was going to produce the best popcorn in town at a reasonable price, and that's one of the things a tradition we absolutely will continue.
Sure.
Let me talk a little bit about the education thing too.
Sure.
Just as a professor at MCC, I frequently use the Little as an educational terrain, and this past year we had a session for Al Gore's film, An Inconvenient Truth, that it would have drawn about 560 people. You know, we could only handle about 300 that night.
Oh, what a problem.
A panel discussion afterward talking about global warming. We had another panel discussion on when we showed a movie called The Aristocrats, and we had one on the First Amendment that night. And about 50 or 60 people hung around and talked about whether, you know, should freedom of expression be absolute, or, you know, should it be restrained in some cases. And we've done that on, you know, with many, many films at the Little, and that's one of the things we're going to ask Bob to do too, is really develop that the same way Jiva did, you know, in his tenure there. You might even want to talk a little bit about that too. You know, he mentioned earlier that, you know, frequently the building sits all day long with not being used, and we really want to change that.
Yeah, it's about continuing that experience for people, giving them the chance to hear more, learn more, and participate more, and talk about the topics of the films. And we're also looking at other series with local filmmakers. It's amazing how many independent filmmakers there are in Rochester right now, and Bob Bilheimer being one who is an Oscar Award nominee for one of his films. He just had A Closer Walk, was his most recent one. You know, here's somebody who lives in Bloomfield. Yeah. You know, and he has worldwide distribution of his documentaries. So being able to tap into the local filmmakers as well, so that they can share their story. We want to give them a place for the voice of it. We also have a series called the Emerging Filmmakers Series, which is for amateur filmmakers that we do. And the only criteria is that the filmmaker and the film needs to be shot in New York State. And once a month, on a Monday night, we do 4 of the films. And it's amazing the amount of films that we have coming into us, not only from film students, but from adults who have careers who this is something that they're trying to do, that they're creating these independent short films. And I think, you know, that's the outlet that the Little needs to be, because there's no other place in Rochester for people to be able to get that experience and to be able to share their work. So we're very much focused on increasing the type of programming we have again, and a lot of it is focusing on the students, letting them know what opportunities they have in the industry, and also letting them hear directly from the people who are there now making the films and working behind the scenes. And
that's great. That's the Emerging Film Series.
Yes.
Yeah, that's wonderful. And probably people can find out a little bit more about that through the website.
Yep, right. Everything's right on our website.
That's great.
Yeah, our website has won several awards. You know, it's beautifully designed by Corporate Communications, Terry Pallas, a board member, and a lot of help from Partners in the Peer. And these are folks who, you know, just do this pro bono. They give it to us and say, here, yeah, let's do it. The support of the community is really, you know, critical to the survival of the Little. There's no doubt about it.
Sure. Yeah, that's great. I think that's wonderful. So, other things that you're doing too for the Little, like the Friday night nostalgia movie or retro movie.
We started a late night at the Little. Growing up in high school and college, I was a huge midnight movie fan. There was something about the element of going to a film late at night that wasn't for the masses. And some of my all-time favorite films that I've seen have come through that. And I think that right now, people are looking for something different. I think they're getting a little tired of being fed the same sort of films and the same themes. So we decided to experiment with a late night at the Little feature, and we actually tied in with the last East End Festival, and we did an 11:30 showing, and we were looking at all sorts of different movies, and it's like, you know, we need to get something that's really going to impact people, and being a little self-indulgent myself, saying, what film haven't I seen on the big screen in a long time that just needs to be seen? And we chose Pulp Fiction. Quentin Tarantino's breakout film. It actually was a film that revised the career of John Travolta, who has gone on to do great things. Samuel L. Jackson. I mean, it had a huge all-star cast to it. For the first time we did it, we had 78 people. And the most interesting part of it was that it was a broad cross-section. We had the high school age students up to the people in their 60s. And they all said the same thing. After 11 o'clock in Rochester, if you don't go to bars, there's nothing to do. And they were looking at this as something to do. The film, and it's a very long film, so the film ended about 2:45, you know, close to. People were cheering and clapping, and we were in the lobby talking to people as they were leaving, and they all kept saying, we need to do this again. We need to do this again. So we're working on the series, but we also did discount pricing. We did $5 a ticket, and it was a great success. Again, it's another way for us to open ourselves up to a different audience that's looking for something different to do. And what we're hoping to do is within each month do different themes. So we might have a Quentin Tarantino month, and each Saturday night we're going to do a different film of his, or do an Italian cinema, or do the old kind of horror film genre that was coming out of a lot of the start of independent film. And Sam Peckinpah. There's just endless amounts of material that we can look at, trying to bring in, and again, hitting all the different interest levels with people. And then also film festivals. People love the idea, especially if they're just a one-week mini fest, of being able to come and see something that has a focus.
Sure.
We're the home for different outside film festivals like High Falls Film Fest, the Image Out, the Jewish Film Festival, but we wanted to really start creating our own niche, and we did the Foreign Film Festival this year, which showed us that as much as some people say foreign films aren't that popular, we were anticipating 600 people over the course of the week. We had over 1,800 people. So that spoke very clearly to us. Another idea that we're working on right now for the winter is PhilFest, which would be a festival honoring Philip Seymour Hoffman, Rochester's Oscar-winning son, and showing different films, and especially early films of his. So I think, for us, that's where the fun comes in.
Sure.
Our staff loves films. We love the little, that's why everybody's there. It's not just a job. We're working for a nonprofit organization. We want to have fun, because if we have fun, we know that our patrons and our members are going to share in that, and they're also going to have fun. And we also get a lot of great feedback and ideas for films from our members.
Right.
They might have seen something at a film festival while they were visiting Seattle, or saw something somewhere else, and they will write, call, and let us know. And sometimes we're able to bring those type of films in as well.
That's beautiful. That's great. Oh, there's so much to talk about the little, but we've run out of time. So, darn.
We'll come back.
All right, that sounds good.
We'll do a midnight version.
Yeah, well, thank you very much, Tom Peretti, President of the Board of the Little Film Society, and Bob Russell, Executive Director of the Little Theater. Thank you for being here, and thank you, our audience, for joining us today. If you haven't been to the Little in a long time, or have not been to the Little at all, please come and enjoy. It's a great value for your entertainment money, and see you at the movies. I'm Nanette Nokan, and thank you for joining us.
Thanks for tuning in. If you have any questions, please email Nanette at nnocon@aol.com. Following production was produced through Penfield Community Television in Penfield, New York.